All right. Hello, Durud and Shalom. We be live. Hi.
We do be live. Hello, hello, Armin. It has been a while. I was unfortunately
Yes.
incapacitated for the better part of a week, but now I'm
Oh,
back,
no.
and we can talk all about what's happening with Israel.
Well, you came back at a great time because holy shit, so much is happening. And
Yes,
we need to see the Israeli perspective on all of that. We have the deal with Lebanon between Israel and Lebanon. We have what's,
yes,
the giant explosion that we just saw with a major tunnel of Hezbollah in Lebanon. And so much else is happening. What is happening? Do you want to give us a list?
okay. So yeah, we'll talk about a couple of things, both externally to Israel and also inside Israel. So first of all, obviously the agreement with Lebanon. That's a huge shift, both historically in terms of Israel and Lebanon, but also in terms of the effects of it on the MOU with the regime, and how much leverage it shows that they have, or makes them, or takes away from them. And it's all very, very uh, positive. So that's one thing. Another thing is that Israel just announced that it would be acknowledging or recognizing the Armenian genocide, which is also huge. Israel has refrained from doing that for a long time. Um, and we'll talk about what I think is actually going on behind the scenes, and why I don't think it's a bit to spite Erdogan, but it's mostly something else, which we'll talk about. And there has been an interesting development in. So Netanyahu is on trial for several corruption charges. Um, and Flesh and Oprah says, "Welcome back, guy. Thank you, and thank you for the super chat."
No, don't, no. You keep, when I highlight stuff, you
Okay.
just keep
Okay.
your thought. Yeah, I'll just highlight
All right.
stuff as I go through. Yeah, yeah. Don't worry about it.
And so
Thank you,
there's
Chris.
been an interesting development in Netanyahu's corruption trial, which might also affect the prospects of a unity government for the next government in Israel, which would be have a lot of implications for the region in general, and also specifically in terms of fighting with Iran, with
All
the
right.
regime in
Well,
Iran.
let's talk about Lebanon. How is the
Yes.
Lebanese? So the deal between Lebanon and Israel, and also United States was a signatory to that deal as well, right?
Yes, and
So
that's huge.
okay. Yeah, a lot of people are
Um,
not taking that into account because I want to know how much this commits United States to pushing back against Hezbollah, because my assumption was that, well, this is going to fail because Lebanese army will not be able to do anything against Hezbollah. But then I saw the Section 11 of the signed agreement where the United States is committing to pushing back Islamic Republic when it comes to supporting Hezbollah, and I don't know what level of commitment we're looking here. But if the Americans are going to commit to this, then that completely changes my calculations. What are you right?
so yeah, so we'll see. In terms of actually, so I don't know whether the U.S. would actually commit as much as it needs to, or as much as it would take for the Lebanese army to actually be able to finish their job. The problem with the Lebanese army is that it itself is fractured. Like one third of the Lebanese people are pro Hezbollah, roughly. I mean, most of the Shiites are pro Hezbollah. I'm being a bit simplistic here. It's not quite all of them, but a lot of them, and some of those people are in the army, and so it definitely will be a challenge. Uh, but a U.S. support will make it exceedingly easier than it otherwise would have been, and B, more importantly, in terms of the point of the deal isn't the assumption that it's going to succeed. The point of the deal is the assumption that it's going to fail.
Hmm.
Israel
Oh, really?
is very skeptical of any kind of deal like this succeeding.
Hmm.
Historically, letting other people take care of our problems, even if they're their problems, doesn't work unless we have really, really good reason to think that it would. And in this case, we don't. Hezbollah is at least as powerful as the Lebanese army, at least right now. Now, it could change with American support, but right now, or with the fall of the Islamic Republic, please let it happen quickly. Um, but the point of the deal isn't, oh, this could succeed and then Hezbollah is down. The point of the deal is the total and complete legitimacy that it gives both Israel and the Lebanese government in fighting Hezbollah in Lebanon. So what the deal does is the legitimate authorities of Lebanon are formally hereby, first of all, recognizing Israel, which has never happened before. And so this is the first step towards peace, which is huge. There is actually a subreddit called Forbidden Bromance, which is about Israel and Lebanon secretly wanting to be friends. There are people there, Lebanese and Israelis, like, oh, I can't wait to visit Beirut. Oh, I can't wait to visit Tel Aviv.
How big is that? Is that a huge thing? Like, do you see that?
No, it's not. No, it's not a huge. It's not a huge thing. But it is a sentiment that exists. And now in Lebanon, unfortunately, I don't have videos ready, but
it's okay.
So I'll explain. But in Lebanese TV, a lot more people are now openly coming out. Have been over the last few months, openly coming out and saying, yes, I actually would like to go to, mostly Christians, to go to Tel Aviv and go out drinking in Tel Aviv. Lebanese people, Christians and Druze especially, really, really want a warm peace with Israel, and we will, if we have peace, it will be warm with them. We don't need everyone to like us, but if we have bilateral relations, then that would be very, very good for the region and for Lebanon especially. They have a lot to gain from a warm peace with Israel.
But do you, okay, so what's your understanding in Lebanon, other than the Shia community, which are majority pro Hezbollah? I understand that even within the Shia community, there are a growing percentage of people who are against Hezbollah, even though they're not the majority, but it's a growing percentage. Within within Lebanese people who are not Shia, I understand there is a huge anti-Hezbollah sentiment. I also understand that they really want peace with Israel, but how much of them are pro-Israel? Because is the drive for peace in Lebanon just because they're tired of war, or do we also have a growing pro-Israeli view growing in Lebanon as well? Do you have any sense of that?
I do have a sense of that. There was a poll recently done. It's just about, are you in favor of the deal? And it had like 80 or so percent of both the Druze and the Christian communities being in favor of the deal. And it seems as though the Christians are very much willing to have a warm peace, at least some of them. Now, there are still those who are skeptical or apprehensive about Israel, but it's very much growing within the Christian community into no, we actually want peace, not just normalization or end of hostilities. We want a warm relationship with Israel. Within the Sunni community, I can't imagine it's as large. They are, I think, in the Sunni community, it's way more. We're done fighting. You have dragged us into war for long enough with both Israel and Syria and everyone around us. You are a cancer on our country. We would like to have a normal life. Also, I imagine, I don't know this for sure, but I imagine that the Sunnis in Lebanon, just by virtue of being around the Christians, and in general, Lebanon being a more generally progressive country, they might have different so what I'm looking for, sensibilities than many of the Muslims in the region. But either way, they want to have let's say you have sorry, 1/3 of the population that wants normalization. Just normalization. Like, you want, okay, we're fine with your existence. But then a whole third, or almost a third, of the population is like, oh yes, I want to visit. You don't need actually more than that to have a war and peace. Like, you want movement back and forth, and Israelis who go to Lebanon would go to the Christian areas and so on. Like, it's fine. You don't need everyone to love you in a country to have a prosperous relationship with them. Okay, so back to the agreement. the agreement says that Israel can stay in southern Lebanon up until the point that Hezbollah is dismantled, and Israel recognizes that that like it has no territorial aspirations in Lebanon, which it actually really doesn't. I mean, we don't, despite what some anti-Semites would say about the Greater Israel Project. No, we don't need anything more than the little plot that we have. Some people would, in theory, love to have it. Like, if you give it to us, we'd gladly take it. But no one wants to go to war to expand the border of Israel beyond the Jordan River or to the north
What
or
would
to the
be
south.
what would be the best evidence, in your opinion, that Israel doesn't have an expansionist agenda
Right now or historically?
now?
Right now is, I mean, the fact that we could, if we want to take over Lebanon, we can just take over Lebanon. It's not, I mean, Hezbollah is not stopping us. Iran is stopping us because of the MOU that they signed with Vance. I mean, the regime is stopping us. And yeah, and we gave it back already once before in 2000, as Amir is saying. And then we got rockets for it. And I mean, we just signed a document that says, listen, we don't have any territorial aspirations here. We will give you back the chunk of land that we are on once it's safe for our citizens in the north. I mean, we're acting. Yeah.
How much of this, what's happening right now with Lebanon, is because of the MOU, or was this already a long-term plan that would have led to this anyways? Like, because this has been, the Americans have been trying to get this signed between Lebanon and Israel for a long time. Did this happen because of the MOU signed between United States and the Islamic Republic, or was this happening anyways?
That's an interesting question. So this was going to happen anyway at some point. My expectation was that it would take more advancement by the military, let's say, towards Beirut, not reaching Beirut, but having Beirut in a place where it's like, in theory it could be taken over. I was surprised it was signed because I thought we lost a lot of leverage. And to me, and this is just speculation, maybe if what's happening behind the scenes is a struggle between Rubio and Vance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If there is a struggle by Rubio to fix what Vance broke, essentially, and so he went to the Gulf states and he went to Lebanon, he may have been able to convince the people under him to apply more pressure to the Lebanese government to get this signed, because it's critical to separate the Lebanon and Iran agendas. It's also possible that the Lebanese government actually, because of the MOU, and then you can like have a 17-dimensional chess argument from Trump, that the MOU, like, Israel didn't like the MOU connecting Israel and Lebanon, but Lebanon didn't like the MOU connecting Iran and Lebanon, but Lebanon didn't like the MOU connecting Iran and Lebanon either. Like, if Israel was to withdraw from southern Lebanon, then the Lebanese government would be in trouble with Hezbollah, which they don't want. They want Hezbollah gone. And I think it's possible that the prospect of Israel leaving because of the regime scared the Lebanese government, and with a bit more pressure, like, okay, fine, let's sign this thing. Let's keep you guys here because we do want you guys here to help us take care of Hezbollah. And so that's entirely possible that this is the this is what happened and why they ended up signing now.
Let me respond. Some super chats. Fleshy Interloper saying, "Welcome back, guy. Welcoming
Thank you,
you
Fleshy.
back." Yes. And
Good
then
to be back.
Fleshy Interloper with another super chat saying, "To the fall of the Islamic Republic." Yes. Cheers to that. And then we have Nino with a super chat. Yeah. Saying, "To the fall of the death and what? What is that?
It's
Death
grape
and
without the G. Cult.
oh, the death and rape cult in Republic. Yes, in Islamic Republic.
I think I assume it was meant to be Islamic, and it was an autocorrect.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Although death and rape
Thank-
cult actually survived the typing, oddly enough.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Nina. I agree with that. Okay, so here's a question. How much do you think the whole what do you think about President Trump coming out and saying like, "Hey, let's just get Jolani to fight Hezbollah instead of Israel"? What do you think about that? Those recent comments.
So I
President
think
of
we
Syria,
talked.
Al-Shara for
Yeah.
people who know. Yeah, okay.
Ahmed Shara. I think we talked about this last live stream. It was we talked about Trump's comments. It was
Yeah, but now with the
last,
new
Thursday.
updates, what do you think about that?
I don't connect the two. I think he oh, actually, you know what? If we are doing the 11,000 D chess argument, then you could argue that this is Trump pressuring the government of Lebanon, saying, "Look, Israel can do this, or it can have ISIS do it. Which do you prefer?"
Right. So,
and
do
that
you,
said,
do
I
you
don't
buy that 5D chess, or do you think that's just people who
I don't
always win
know.
there?
I'm tired. I'm tired, boss. It's
Yeah. A lot of
it
people are
could
getting
be
frustrated with trying to, they say like some people criticize these takes that like every time Trump does something that is not very intelligent, we come up with the 5D chess excuse that, oh, look, this is what led to that, and that's why it was actually genius. Do you think that? What do you think?
I think that if you want, I'm skeptical because I think it was just anger. For several reasons. One, a couple of days later, he said the Lebanese government doesn't want Jolani to do it either, in a way that implies that he didn't know this ahead of time. And so he backed off of that idea publicly before the signing of the MOU. So if you want to use it as a pressure point, you don't say, "Oh, no, never mind, they don't want it." The other thing is the comments were part of Israel is too brutal. Let's call ISIS in to do a better job. That was the context in which that was said, and that's the worst comment, the absolute worst comment you can make about Israel right now, especially since it's not true, as both Hegseth and Rubio came out and said, without explicitly saying Trump was wrong, but it's like, well, Hegseth said it ahead of time. He said Israel's response, the one that Trump was complaining about, was very restrained because we hit a specific floor with our missile. The building didn't fall. It was just the floor with the specific people we were targeting. And so when Trump says, "Look, someone goes in into a building, if it's Hezbollah, Hezbollah, and you can't drop the whole building," we know we're not dropping the whole building. We're just hitting a very very pointed missile in that specific floor. If we were to drop buildings, we would do what we always do, which is knock on the roof, which is you drop a noise bomb ahead of time, evacuating the building, and then you level the building. Usually you do it because there is a terrorist infrastructure in the building that would be hard to take care of otherwise. And that has always been, including in Gaza, the policy of the Israeli military. And so when Trump comes out and lies, because he's pissed that Netanyahu attacked in Beirut when he was just about to sign an MOU, we don't appreciate that.
Can you move the microphone a little bit farther from your mouth, because we're hearing a lot of popping sounds? Like just move it away. Yeah, okay. Okay, so
So there's
yeah.
The point of the agreement, to clarify, is not that it should succeed. The point of the agreement is that we assume it's going to fail, and even if it fails, it's excellent because we got legitimacy to stay
Mhm.
to stay in Lebanon by the Lebanese government. The Lebanese government is going to try to take care of Hezbollah. They're probably going to fail, but they're going to try, and we're going to give them a chance to do it. We're
Mhm.
that we've agreed on specific areas, plots of land where they would, as a pilot program, um, try to take them over and control them. If it succeeds, great, we can expand it. If it's not, then Israel is justified, according to the agreement with Lebanon. Israel is justified in going back to fighting. This
Mm.
is an agreement that is security-wise great for Israel.
Mm.
That the the foreign minister of the EU commended. She said, "Wow, that's a great agreement." And if you can
Mhm.
get the EU and Israel to both be happy with an agreement, that means it's a really, really, really good agreement.
So it's a win-win for Israel. If Lebanon fails,
And for Lebanon,
then is huh?
and for
Yeah.
Lebanon,
Okay. Okay. So it's good for Israel and whether the Lebanese army fails or wins, this is a good deal for Lebanon and Israel. If the Lebanese army succeeds, well, great. Like you push back Hezbollah, and but if they don't, now Israel has all their legitimacy and rights based on this agreement that everybody's like praising to go do whatever it needs to do.
yes, and you can also better coordinate with the Lebanese government to do so,
Hmm. Hmm.
like
Okay, so
above the table.
So even if the Lebanese army fail, the coordination between them and Israel will continue based on this agreement.
Say that again.
So even if the Lebanese army fails against Hezbollah, the coordination between the Lebanese army and Israel and the IDF will continue.
Yes.
Okay. What are the dangers of this causing a civil war in Lebanon, like the 15-year civil war that we had before, the one that ended in the 1990? Like, because what we're doing, like some people might criticize this and say, like, you just fucked Lebanon because the Shia community in Lebanon is not going to accept this, and they're going to turn against the rest of Lebanon, and this is going to just cause chaos in Lebanon, and that's what Israel wants anyway, is to cause chaos in the country and just watch back and see everything burn.
So this is for the Lebanese government to decide, meaning they signed this agreement. I don't know if it's going to cause civil war. There is a fear within Lebanese society, and I think that was part of the apprehension. Uh, but this puts Lebanon on a road to prosperity, um, and and right now Hezbollah is the weakest it has ever been, or not ever, but ever since it became the dominant force. And as a result, I mean, you have to do it at some point because the country is not in a sustainable state, and now would be the perfect time to do it. There is a risk of a civil war whenever you try to handle Hezbollah. Right now, that risk is minimal, like at the minimum of what it's been since Hezbollah became a problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Hezbollah wasn't a problem before the civil war in Lebanon. Like wasn't Hezbollah something that was created because of the civil war, like became strong because of the civil war in Lebanon? So even if Hezbollah is not, like, we could create a vacuum from this chaos that will create things like Hezbollah. I mean, at the end of
Which
the
is
day, there's a huge population. It might be a minority, but there is still a lot of support for that mentality, for that ideology. Like that is not going to go away in Lebanon. That's going to a demand for resistance against Israel will continue to exist. You can't just like put that under the carpet by signing an agreement, right?
right. Um, that's I mean that's a structural problem within Lebanese society. I think the difference is there used to be a minority of strong support for this without a majority being against it. Now there's a majority that's very much against it. So you can have people who really want this, fine. I mean, it's going to be a problem within Lebanese society, but there's no reason it should force the majority of Lebanese society to go in the absolute opposite direction of where they actually want to go.
Yeah, but it's still a big minority. It might be a minority, but it's still a huge minority that would want to keep fighting Israel.
Yes, and that's a structural problem. But that minority, I mean, security arrangements are something that is not difficult to do. It worked well enough in the West Bank under the PLO, and the PLO has less incentives to do it, and a much larger problematic population. Another thing is that if you have a buffer zone from the border, which I assume you're going to have regardless, it's going to be much harder for such people to do what they want. Let's say what's probably going to end up happening if this succeeds and you have peace is that you have the majority of Lebanese society being like chill with Israel, and sometimes you have Shia militias who try to destabilize things. I don't think they're going to be strong enough, especially not if the regime in Iran is not going to be able to provide them with the support that they need. The reason they became as strong as they have is because of the backing. If they're just people with extreme opinions, you can have many people with extreme opinions in many places. If they don't have the power to act on it, either internally or externally. Internally, because let's say the government would have a specific policy, and the only people with the weapons would be their military. You're not going to be able to do much about it.
Isn't
Yeah.
Isn't the fact that Iraq is also being taken over, taken away from the Islamic Republic, going to help with that? Because the fall of Assad removed the land bridge that the Islamic Republic had with the borders of Israel. So
yes,
the Islamic Republic was always trying to create a with Israel, because so the way that the Islamic Republic has worked for decades on building this land bridge from Iran, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, all the way to the borders of Israel. So basically be able to create a highway of missiles and drones right from Iran, go to Iraq because it controls Iraq, goes to Syria because it controls Syria, go to Lebanon right at the border. Like it wants to have all of these countries in its territory. It's in its Shia empire, and by that way it shares a border with its main enemy, which is Israel, so to easily be able to attack that. Right. So the fall of Assad meant that plan has been, kind of destroyed, but still because Syria is not very stable, the Islamic Republic still is able to move weapons and other kinds of support through Syria. And this is interesting because Jolani can't even stop that. And we're asking them to fight Hezbollah in Lebanon. It cannot even stop the support that it's getting to Hezbollah from the Islamic Republic in its own country. But it's much better than when Assad was ruling over Syria. But if the Islamic Republic loses Iraq as well, we just saw two nights ago and yesterday this new prime minister of Iraq going out and arresting politicians who are loyal to the Islamic Republic, which is something that I think President Trump deserves praise for, because President Trump was the one who pushed against Nouri al-Maliki to become prime minister in Iraq. If it wasn't for President Trump, right now the prime minister in Iraq would be Nouri al-Maliki, and Iraq would turn into a full proxy of the Islamic Republic. President Trump pushed against that, and we now have the Zaidi guy instead as prime minister, and now we see how strategic that was, given that he's arresting pro-Islamic Republic politicians. And if Iraq is taken away from the Islamic Republic as well fully, then that land bridge is gone. And if we get rid of Hashishabi, Islamic Republic politicians in Iraq, and if we could disarm Hezbollah, the Islamic Republic will be defenseless and naked. Like all of these layers of defense will be completely gone, and it would be the only thing it has left for it as defense is the enriched uranium. But what do you see? How do you see that developing if we keep moving in this direction?
So I want you to thank you for this excellent segue into the next topic I was going to talk about, which is Israel acknowledging or recognizing the Armenian genocide. Now, how is this related? A lot of people say, okay, well, Israel is trying to stick it to Erdogan by recognizing the Armenian genocide after not doing it before because of his rhetoric. I think that's part of it. But I think a major part of it is we're talking about Iran and losing its grasp on the region. Armenia, up until recently, was a Russian proxy. It was in the Russian orbit. They just had an election after signing the peace with Azerbaijan.
I'm listening. You talk about it. I need to just be right back.
Okay. So what happened was that Armenia just had an election, and pro-Western people were elected. And Marco Rubio was also there in both Azerbaijan and Armenia recently in conversations. We don't know what the content of those conversations was. It would not surprise me one bit. And by the way, so Azerbaijan is a strategic partner of Israel. Azerbaijan and Armenia used to be enemies. They, at the very least, still have tensions between them. There is now some sort of at least tacit cooperation between those two countries. And Ali theorized, Ali, the one that Armin talks to every day, which I highly recommend you go to his channel and subscribe. He's great. Ali mentioned at some point in the past, once the ceasefire started, that essentially the main route that the regime can transfer things into Iran from Russia would be through Armenia. That was before the elections. Now that the elections happened, Armenia is looking to be more pro-Western. And I think the idea behind recognizing the genocide now is there's covert conversations between Israel and the new Armenian government, and we want to improve the relations. There's also a lot of so the Armenian church has a lot of areas they control within Jerusalem, and we want to be, in general, it would be good to have a good relationship with Armenia. So what I think happened is that Israel and Armenia decided, mediated by the United States, and the United States also spoke with Azerbaijan, saying, listen, we need a reason to grow warmer with you guys. If you recognize the genocide, that would be a really good first step for us to create stronger relations. And I think there was talks with Azerbaijan to say, like, okay, would you be okay if we do this? And Azerbaijan would probably like, it's not great, but we'll handle it. And so they had a moderately strongest worded statement that they put out after Israel announced this, saying, we hope that Israel reverses its decision. It's a complicated historical situation and shouldn't be flattened out into such generalities like genocide. They didn't. I mean, it wasn't a very strongly worded statement. It was, okay, we're not happy with this. So I think what's happening is that we're strengthening our relations with Armenia, and having strong relations with Armenia along with Azerbaijan would give us a lot more access to ways to weaken the regime and also isolate them to prevent munitions and so on coming from Russia to Iran. And combining that with what you said, which is Iraq is also being isolated. They already started disarming the Hashd al-Sha'bi. And Lebanon is, I mean, they're losing their Lebanese power with every passing day. The trajectory is not great for Hezbollah, and so they are. It does seem like they are being isolated very much, even
It
more so.
seems like Israel is doing an UNA reverse card in the Islamic Republic. So what
Yes.
the Islamic Republic was trying to do is to get closer to the borders of Israel from all sides, right? And Israel is now going beyond removing the tentacles of the Islamic Republic. It's now coming to the Islamic Republic from the south, like for example with the UAE, and from the north with Azerbaijan, and now maybe slowly Armenia. So instead of having the Islamic Republic at the borders of Israel, what we're doing, Israel is pushing forward with having Israel at the borders of the Islamic Republic. That's what it seems like is happening.
Which is a strategy we've actually started employing in several places. So we really strengthened our relations with Cyprus and Greece, so that we're also on the border of Turkey to get them to behave. And we recognized Somaliland, which is right across El Bab el Mandab, or Bab el Mandab, from the African side. And we also seem to be having forces and stuff there to be able to strike against the Houthis and to counteract the Houthis. So it does seem to be like a strategy that Israel has started deploying over the last from year or 2 years. And I think it's a good strategy, especially since you don't have expansion goals. You just want to deter the people who want to fight you.
By the way, guys, if you have any questions regarding what Guy is saying, please ask them in the chat. I'm going to try to keep an eye. We did get a super chat. Do you want to respond to this one? Thank you, Roman.
So Roman Viking, yeah, thank you for the €5. Would it be feasible to put Lebanon under temporary Singaporean control to lead to a successful multicultural state? No, I don't think so. So Singapore has very strict control over its civilians, and I assume you mean some sort of like and correct me if I'm wrong here, some sort of like re-education. I don't think it's going to work. A lot of these people are very religious in several directions. I think honestly the best thing for Lebanon would be to divide up into a federation with 3 independent states. Preferably the Christian one would be in the south. And yeah, I mean, I don't see Lebanon actually succeeding as a real state, just like without people losing their religious identity to a large extent.
Interesting. The issue is that, you know, as much of a military success you could have, what the issue, the idea, if you don't win ideologically, all of these problems will come back, right? So, like, what is the ideological win that we could have? Because, you know, at the end of the day, we have how many people? Like around 1 million people, I think, in Lebanon who support Hezbollah and fighting against Israel. That is still going to be there. But how do we deal with that?
So I think let's look at the next 3 starred comments, and then I'll answer you, because they'll actually be very informative, specifically for that. So the next one is Shauna saying there are people with extreme opinions in the United States. Their only problem right now because of the lack of enforcement. I don't know enough about, like, is it crime? Is it immigration? I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about. But the point the main point is, if you have a coherent national policy and you're willing to punish people who go against it, especially in a way that risks human life, you can curve it to a large extent. People might murmur, but they're not going to do anything. And if Lebanon becomes prosperous, ideally the numbers of those people will become smaller, and we're already seeing that that's the case even among the Shiites. So Motorpool Grease Monkey, and you should also subscribe to his channel, Armin, if you have it handy, we can put it in the chat. In Lebanon, by the way, he talks about United States politics, and also very informed. He is former military, so he has a lot of very interesting knowledge. So Monkey is saying that in Lebanon, opposition to Hezbollah is overwhelming. 79% of Lebanese want only the army to hold weapons. The remaining 21% break down as 18% openly pro-Hezbollah, meaning wanting it to keep its arms, and 3% ambivalent or didn't want to say. Even among the Shia, significant cracks exist, with 12 to 27% supporting disarmament. Now, I assume 27% is generous, but that's still it's a it's a very big crack even within Shia, the Shia in Lebanon. I assume if I agree, these numbers are insane. Like this, we could not have dreamed of this even 2 years ago. So if, for example, the regime in Iran isn't able to keep funding Hezbollah, a lot of people who are with Hezbollah are with Hezbollah because they need weapons, or sorry, they need money. So the salaries there are very meager because their economy is shit, and so an average Lebanese soldier earns between like $300 and $400 a month in USD, whereas at least before the war, or in the beginning, before the war came to Iran, the average Hezbollah soldier got $1,800. So it's $300 to $400 versus $1,800, and so people, just to make ends meet, would join Hezbollah. And I think if they lose that funding, the support is going to crash even more. And it's also very different to say we don't want to disarm this group versus saying we want to arm a brand new group enough to break the law to try to do that. It depends on what the status quo is or what the current situation is. Another thing is that Shia Muslims in general that are not in Shia majority countries are very, very afraid of what would happen to them if they drop their arms.
That's a very important point, because I follow Hezbollah propaganda. Guys, listen to this. This is very important. The Hezbollah propaganda to get Shia support in Lebanon is not, hey, we're Shia, you're Shia, so let's Shia support Shia. It's not that. And the Shias, a lot of the Shias who support Hezbollah is not like, oh my God, yeah, we have to fight Israel, and also you're Shia, Ya Ali, Haydar, I'm supporting Hezbollah because we're all Shia. Okay? This support for Hezbollah is because Shias in Lebanon, a lot of them are terrified that if Hezbollah is disarmed, the Sunnis and Christians will come and massacre them. And they see Hezbollah as protection against. So a lot of it is not ideological, even though they're Shia. A lot of it is Hezbollah convincing a huge portion of the Shia community within Lebanon that we are the shield, we're guarding you against other people who will come and kill you. Like, we need to be armed. If we're not armed, you will not have protection.
Yes, that's a very common narrative among Shias, and I think if this works, like Hezbollah is disarmed, and then this doesn't happen, and they're allowed to be members of society as long as they behave and don't try to attack everyone around them, a lot of that support is going to wane further.
Yeah, and Grease Monkey is saying Christians. Yeah, Christians. We had during the civil war in Lebanon, we had Christians and Shias and Sunnis killing each other. We had a huge killing of Shias by Christian militia that was then blamed on Israel.
Yes,
that was a big
in
one.
Sabra,
Yes.
in Sabra and Shatila, under
Yes. How
Ariel
many
Sharon.
people? Yes.
I don't remember the numbers, but it was, I think maybe I don't know if it's hundreds or thousands, but it was a major, like I think they went house to house. That was the army of Southern Lebanon, which was Christian. They went house to house and like massacred people in Lebanon.
Yeah, so Grease Monkey is saying, why would we massacre? We haven't done a crusade in a while. What year was that? That was like 1980s, right?
1980 something, yeah. It's in the
1980 something. Yeah, it was a massacre. Yeah.
But yeah,
but
so
by the way, Israel had nothing to do with that.
Yes.
But they blamed Israel anyways for that.
At most, the claim is that there was a tacit understanding and turning of the back, but Israel didn't do it, and even that's suspect. Like you have to mind read to say, oh, they knew. They were, as far as they were concerned, they were guarding their Southern Lebanon army allies in an operation. It doesn't mean that they knew, because it wasn't like killing them. They went door to door and they went inside the houses, and so you couldn't tell what was happening inside the house. So there's no reason to assume that Israel knew and was a part of it, unless you already hate Israel, and at which point you don't actually need this data point. You just hate Israel. So you're not actually learning.
Grease Monkey is saying, I didn't know about this. Don't worry, Grease Monkey. Most people either don't know about this, and the people who do know about it lie about it and make it seem like Israel did it. So there's so much misinformation regarding that.
Yeah.
We grew up in Iran about those stories, and we had no idea. Like in Iran, they kept on telling us that story over and over and over again, and we had no idea that it was Christians. We were always told it was like Israeli soldiers. Yeah.
Good. All right. Let's go through some more start comments.
Yeah. Okay.
Texas Troop Guy, have you discussed Israel and Somaliland's new relationship with each other and mutual interests? I have not. We can discuss it briefly, I suppose. Maybe should we do it now, or what do you say?
No, yeah, respond. Yeah. Have you discussed?
Okay, I'll try to make it brief. So Somaliland is very thirsty for recognition. Almost no one recognizes it because all the Arab countries, for some godforsaken reason, have an interest in the crumbling state that is Somalia, where people are killing each other, as opposed to Somaliland, which is majority Muslim, but has actually a very stable governance with peaceful transfer of powers and everything you would want in an actual functioning democracy. And so Israel was one of the first countries to acknowledge, if not the first country to acknowledge, Somaliland. And that was a huge boon. And like for Somaliland has got recognition from a relatively powerful country. They also got bilateral relations with that country. In exchange, presumably what they got is access to the sea right opposite Yemen. And so there's very likely bases, according to reporting I've seen, that are being started there and operated from there, either controlled by Israel or in help of Israel.
Isn't it kind of crazy that in one of the most jihadi places on earth, you have a country that is first recognized by Israel before any other country? Is it Israel before any other country?
I think so. I'm not sure if it's literally the first, but it's one of the first, if not literally the first.
One of the first ones.
It's the first. It's the first major one.
And you have a Muslim population that is praising Israel for recognizing them as a country.
Yeah. A lot of people there. So there's something about we can't be too simplistic in our fight against Islam. You need to give them some alternative that they can consider as not betraying their own identity. And there are countries that are now offering that kind of alternative, namely UAE and Somaliland. And so we need to bolster that as opposed to fight all of Islam. It's not practical. It's much better to get people to become that kind of Muslim, even if it's not like we can argue about the text for forever. There is a way to interpret Quran that allows for that. Now we can. Yeah, Armin disagrees. It's not about the point is not whether you have to disregard things
There's
to
a
do
way
it. The
to
point is whether
there's
it's
I would rephrase that. I would say there's a way to get Muslims to ignore the teachings of Islam.
fine.
That's what I was saying.
I think the point we're making is the same.
It's a very important difference. There's one gives legitimacy to the Quran, the other one doesn't. Very important.
Yeah, yeah. So okay. I wasn't trying to give legitimacy to Quran. I was trying to stay neutral on.
I know, but I know you're not
Quran.
trying to do that. But that wording of it does, right?
Okay.
I think it's very important for us to say that our fight when it comes to working with Muslims is to get them live more un-Islamic lives rather than creating a new version of Islam. And it's actually very easy to get Muslims to live un-Islamic lives. You just have to give them something to live for, right? But I don't want to say like, hey guys, we could look at the Quran in a positive way. Fuck that. Fuck the Quran. Fuck Islam. Let's celebrate Muslims who are moving away from Islam, even if they want to call themselves Muslims.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the thing with Somaliland. I think it was a very good move that no one saw coming and no one even heard of it. And then like it came out and I was like, oh wow, I didn't know this place existed. Yeah. And yeah, that's a brilliant move. It's very outside the box thinking by the foreign affairs people to do that. So
we should do a stream. Yeah, go on.
I hope that answered the question. Yeah.
Yeah, very good question. We should do a stream completely on that.
Yeah, I'd have to do more research for it, but yeah.
Oh, sure. Look, Texas is happy, saying it was fantastic.
Great. Okay.
Wait, so I'm getting some pushback. Amir is saying, F the Quran, F Islam, indeed, but you can't convince them through conditions. It's been tried before, and it proved they not built the conditions. I don't know what that means.
I'm not sure what you're. I'm not sure what you mean by conditions.
I think what I'm saying, Israel has proven that what I'm saying is correct, because Muslims who live in Israel, many of them are pro-Israel, and many of them are turning.
No, I wouldn't say many. We don't want to overstress the.
Well, my expectations are very low, so you wouldn't. Okay. I would consider
more than expected.
More than expected. Like I saw a good number. Like what percentage do you think what percentage of Muslims in Israel are pro-Israel? What do you think?
Oh, sorry. Before I respond to that, I just saw something that I can't ignore. No. It's hard for a guy to give credit to Bibi. Funny, because I said it was the foreign ministry people, and often people who don't like to give Bibi credit, like, "Wow, that was amazing." What? So one funny thing I saw is, well, what an amazing agreement with Lebanon. Well done to the people of the army. It's like, no, that's not. They're not the ones who signed the agreement. You have to know what part of it is military, because the whole point is we have a great military. We do a lot of great things militarily, but then Bibi comes and fucks up the agreement part. And you can't have it both ways. If the agreement is good, you have to give credit where it's due. The reason I'm saying foreign ministry is that I can't imagine Netanyahu has the bandwidth to get this level of nitty-gritty into the details of what Somaliland is. And for the people in the foreign ministry, the experts in geopolitics, and in like in Africa, for example, to find this opportunity and present it to the prime minister, I commended them for that. I didn't explicitly say, but I also commend Netanyahu for recognizing the opportunity and seizing it. Yeah. So this is a comment from someone that probably has not seen me enough. Because Grease Monkey is saying, "Stop, guys." Previous stream, I don't think it was unfair to BB. Now, to be fair to Motorride, I understand where this is coming from, because I have seen this happen a lot. Like, you want to take credit away from Netanyahu when he makes good decisions, so you credit everyone except him about the decisions that very obviously he had a lot to do with. Okay, sorry. So we were talking about.
Wait, let me read 2 super chats because we didn't read these ones. Fleshy Interloper saying, "Can we call this the calamari strategy?" I think he's talking about the Iraq and Hezbollah being
the wrapping. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Actually, you're right. That's a calamari strategy. You're cutting the tentacles. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay. I like that. And then we got another super chat from Fleshy saying, "Peace in Lebanon would poll well with U.S. Christians." Oh, really? Do you think that would have a huge effect? What do you think about this?
I think so. Especially since a lot has been made about, Israel is attacking Christians in Lebanon. And Israel is actually not attacking Christians in Lebanon. There are completely untouched Christian villages within Israel's area of control, because they don't have Shia Muslims in them. And if you have peace with Lebanon that the Christians are happy with, that would do a lot to quell the propaganda against Israel about its relations with Christians.
Okay. The counter is broken, which sucks, but it's okay. Yeah. We got another super chat from BT. Thank you so much. You want to read this one? BT June.
Yes. Thank you, BT. So religion aside, there is a violence issue in the Middle East. Maybe from Arab colonization, some say poverty, but they bring it with them wherever they go. How is that culture separated outside religion? That's a big question. It's really hard to say, because a lot of the areas are affected by Islamic conquest. At the same time, and there's also a lot of hatred. So I do think that the non-Muslim communities are very, unless they've been propagandized some other way, there is a stark difference. I think what happened in Lebanon in the 80s has a lot to do with what some Iranians want to do to the regime once they get back into power, and to regime supporters. I think, now I'm not an expert in Lebanese history, but I think there was just so much bad blood there that that caused people to do things they would not do to people in most other situations.
Okay.
What do you think?
I think BT is you're right when it comes to poverty. I think the mix of Islam and poverty is a toxic mix. Islam is the worst ideology to make people do things that are not good for prosperity and growth and peace and stability. I do think, though, that even when people are Muslim, if you don't have poverty, and if you have hope for the future, and if you have safety and security, the effect of the Islamic ideology on their behavior will become limited. Islam is an ideology that makes you want to have, it makes you prioritize life after death over this life, and that way you will do things that are not in your best interest to improve this world. And especially if it mixed with poverty, then people use Islam as a coping mechanism to think that they're fighting for a cause and something more valuable than these worldly stuff anyways. But if people do have hope that they could put their children in bed without worrying about them being blown into pieces, and kiss them goodnight and read them children's stories and go on vacations and have enough food to eat and shelter and clothes, and think that the lives of their children is going to be better than their lives, then have something to hope for, have something to work towards, then even if they are Muslim by name, they become less. They would live less Islamic lives because this world is providing them enough to live for.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah.
So Islam is a mass-produced factory of suicidal ideation, and so
Definitely.
if your life sucks, like for people with depression, they have a lot of suicidal ideation. Suddenly think of the next life as being great and so on, as a way to justify committing suicide. And I think Islam gives you that to such an extent that it's very tempting if your life isn't great.
It also helps you deal with suffering because suffering will be a test from God. Suffering would be a blessing from God because if if you the idea is that this world, when you become rich and when you become too many things that you enjoy, this world will distract you from God. And God sometimes loves you so much that it will take away from you the things that you love, your wealth, your house, your children, your family, your stability, your peace of mind, so that you don't become attached to this world and go back to moving towards God, right? So that is a very powerful coping mechanism. If your life is shit, then your technique you could be convinced that you're being loved by God. God took this away from you so that you could go back to his arms rather than this world.
Yep. Okay. Shall we continue with the rest of the
Yeah,
comments?
we got another super chat. Oh yeah, let's run to that one and then we'll go to the super chat.
Okay. So, Son of Jesus is saying, won't you expect to own and control and rule the entire world under the Messiah, God's chosen ruler of everything? Maybe I just don't. Judaism fundamentally does not want to own and control and rule the entire world, as opposed, unlike Christianity and Islam that have expansionist aspirations. Not saying that judgmentally, just descriptively. Christianity wants everyone to be Christian to recognize the Messiah, and that he has risen and so on, and to be saved in the afterlife. Judaism does not have those aspirations. Judaism has the only aspiration that Judaism has is that as many people as possible follow the 7 Noahide laws, that are some form of recognition of God, without idolatry, and a bunch of like common rules that we would all want all people to follow. There's an expanded list of 30 laws, but basically and other than that, you can profess whatever you want to profess. You can believe in God in many ways, but Judaism doesn't expect everyone to be Jewish or to everyone to be under its control beyond being decent.
When I was in Jerusalem, there was a rabbi that was. I recorded this, by the way. It's like the video is online. A rabbi, I was handing out pamphlets and stuff. So I was talking to him, and he asks me about my background, and I told him, and he said, "I have good news for you." Okay, what's good news? I got like good news is something that you sometimes hear from evangelical Christians, but they're like, "Oh my god, a rabbi is telling me there's good news." So like, what is the good news? He like when the Messiah is coming soon, and then you get to serve Jews as a non-Jew, and that would be the best thing that would ever happen to you in your life. So this was in Jerusalem by a rabbi. So he
Okay.
said, like, that's not normal, right? That's like
No.
weird. Yeah.
No. That's no. I was actually, I thought we were going to go in the other direction of saying, like, he said, yeah, and you can believe whatever you want. You can have your own life, and no, Jews don't need to
No.
be served. That's not.
No. He said,
That's
"I
weird.
will become a servant of Jews at the end of times," and
And you
that
do
would
it
be the
happily,
greatest
yeah. But that's
honor.
no. That's a very warped interpretation. It's not even common. Like rabbinical Judaism, like it's not. That's not a common interpretation of what happens in the afterlife. Not by a long shot.
Mm.
The afterlife is like the world to come. It's not literally beyond this world. It's what happens in this world when it's at the end of days. It's like everything is prosperous.
Mm.
That's the idea.
I don't know what
Yeah,
sect
no.
is,
So
but
this,
because if you don't believe me, it's a document like as it's on a documentary that I did with genetically modified skeptics. So that part is recorded and it's there.
yeah, no. It's so the issue with Judaism is that there's a lot of like sects, and some of them are
Yes,
out there.
culty.
But there is mainstream like religious Judaism, and it's very reasonable. I mean, it expects a lot out of you as an individual. Like there's a lot that religious Jews have to do daily, and a lot that they're expected to both like things they really do they need to do and things they need to avoid, and it's like very involved. You can't just casually have a religious Jewish lifestyle, but but outwardly it's very reasonable. Again, there's no expansionist ideology. We're not trying to expand. So
Oh, speaking about expansionists, a lot of people are like, yeah, sure, you're not expanding. You created a buffer zone in Lebanon. You created a buffer zone in Syria. You created a buffer zone in Gaza. So this is just expansionism, but you're just calling it buffer zones.
okay, so tell me when to respond.
Now,
Okay, do you think there might be a reason why we had to create buffer zones? Like if you know that this is our strategy, how about you don't give us the ammunition by firing rockets at us so that we have to create buffer zones, and we have the perfect excuse to create buffer zones. We have given up more land for 3 times the size of Israel for peace with Egypt in a placement that was actually very with oil, by the way, in a placement that was very advantageous to Israel in that it reached up to the Nile. So there's actually a river there. But because it quelled the Egyptian fight against Israel, we took it with both hands. A right-wing government, by the way, the Likud government under Menachem Begin, did this because what we want is to live in peace in Israel as the core of Israel, which is
so they would say that you call it buffer zone, but we know what it is, right? So they're like, we know what you're about to do. You want to invade us and take over. So we're defending ourselves, and then you use that as an excuse to create buffer zones, and then eventually those buffer zones will turn into settlement areas, and then now that you're building settlements in the buffer zone, and now you need buffer zones for what previously was a buffer zone, and now it's a settlement area. And then you have new buffer zones for your previous buffer zones, and then you're going to now do settlements as your new buffer zones, and this is how you keep going and
sure.
going and going and going. Yeah, that's what.
So we can test this. How many of these buffer zones are there to protect places that were previously illegal settlements in previous buffer zones? So we have Syria, we have Lebanon, and we have Gaza. Lebanon, that's been the border since 48. Gaza, same. Syria is a bit more involved. That is areas that we took, but we don't have settlements there. It's mostly Druze that live there. We just wanted to get past the mountain because we were fired at from the top of the mountain.
They say, by the way, I know, I completely agree. I make the same argument that you're making. Okay? But they would say they're buffer zones for now. Okay, just like Judea and Samaria was supposed to be a buffer zone, but now you need buffer zone for that buffer zone, right? Eventually, they said, like, give it time. Eventually, these buffer zones in Lebanon will be, the Israelis will start. So they have different politicians. Israel has different faces, they would say. They would say, like, you have these moderates who are like, oh, no, this is just for security. But then you have your,
IRGC,
other
the Jalilis.
Yeah, the Jalilis, the Smutrich, the Ben Gavirs, who were like, oh, now that we have them, we need to settle. Like, and like, you're like, oh, our hands are tied. We need to cooperate with them because, or else we wouldn't win elections. And now we have to appeal to them. We don't want to do that, but we have to win votes. And then they're gonna force your hand to build settlements, and then we're like, oh no, they are too radical, we didn't want to do it, but now they made us do it. And now that you have settlements in these new areas, now you need a buffer zone to protect them.
Okay. So we talk the West Bank is different from the rest of the places, partially because yes, Judea and Samaria is different than the rest of the of these areas, because we actually had like settlements, not illegal settlements. We had just settlements in the regular sense of the word there before Israel was founded, before 48. So Israel was founded in 1948. The West Bank was liberated on in 67, so 20 years later. In 48, everyone talks about the Nakba and the expulsion of Palestinians. It's not quite accurate. In some places, they were driven out because it was a war for survival, and we needed continuous borders to not die and be pushed into the sea. And so stuff had to be done, unfortunately. But many of them just went away and were told to come back when fighting stops. But there were expulsions on both sides. Hebron and Gush Etzion were very thriving, very bustling Jewish communities before 48. And so in 67, 20 years later, if you people started moving back there once we got control over the area. And that's true for a lot of Judea and Samaria. Again, from before Israel was officially founded. And if you say, well, it's been 20 years, why are you going back to your house after 20 years? Someone else lives there. Then my response would be, what do you say about Palestinians wanting to do the same thing after 80 years? Like, if that's a problem, then Palestinians should not, like, why would a grandpa who doesn't have memories from the time where he lived anywhere within the borders of Israel be allowed to return to a house that has already like a lot has happened there before, and that grandpa is about to die anyway. And beyond that grandpa, you have people who've never actually lived in this plot of land. Why would they be allowed to return? That actually takes me to an interesting argument. So like, oh, the land has been promised you for 3,000 years, but someone else lives there. Okay, so in like 10 years, that exact same argument is going to apply to all Palestinians that want a right to a return to within Israeli borders. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
By the way, somebody else lives there. Nobody. Which one are you talking about? Where are you talking about? Which land are you
everywhere
talking
about? Everywhere within Israel. Or I mean, so Palestinians want the right of return, and they have the keys to their former home.
Yes.
I think the lock has been changed already, for the record. But like the argument against Israelis coming there is like,
Yep.
You haven't been there for many years, a few thousand years in this case, but you haven't been there for many years. There are other people living there. You can't just go back and expect them to leave. Never mind that we never expected them to leave. We bought lands legally.
Israelis were only moving to the places where people weren't living, or the places that they bought. The only time they started moving into places other people used to live in is when the Arab countries attacked Israel and started a war, and the Arabs left themselves to avoid being caught in a war. So if you want to blame anybody for having to leave the areas, blame the Arab countries that attacked Israel. Israel was completely willing to share the land with you and live side by side with you. You're the ones who attacked Israel and caused people call it the Nakba, the tragedy. Who caused it? Israel didn't attack you. You attacked Israel. You started a war.
1 second. I'll be right back. Sorry.
Okay. No worries. Yeah. Let me put you down here. Let me go through super chats. Let me see. I want to do super chats that Guy doesn't have to be here for. Okay, let's this one. Rafi, thank you so much. Oh, he's back.
Your disappointment was well heard.
Yes, like we couldn't get 5 seconds without God.
Yeah,
And I'm thinking, why do
without
you
me.
turn? I wasn't. All right.
Let's see if this is. I'm looking
No,
for a map that's related to what we were talking about. In the meantime, yeah, two Jews, three opinions. That's correct. Jews are very diverse in terms of opinions. The
that's
whole
a good
Talmud is
thing.
just debates. Yeah, we have a holy text that's just debates, and like one person saying this and the other person saying that. Which is another reason why cherry picking from the Talmud is like someone said this, but then the next sentence is like, "Are you crazy?" No. So like, there's a lot of crazy opinions there because it's a lot of people arguing over things. So Grease Monkey is saying, I think he has been pretty informative. Thanks, Guy. If you would like more of this, we haven't plugged my channel yet, the whole stream. This is my channel. It is now at 440 subscribers. We want to get to 1,000 so I can get money from you guys.
Let me
And
put the
so
link.
please
Guys,
subscribe
the
to
link
it.
is in the description, and I'll put the link in the chat as well. Oh, you're almost halfway there to
Yeah, I mean,
monetization.
we're moving at a good pace, I feel, considering we haven't been doing that many live streams. It's not like Ali, unfortunately, I can't
We
do it
will be
daily right now.
moving at a faster pace once we do the collab links, which I will talk to you
Yeah.
about.
Okay.
So the growth is going to be significantly faster once when we go live on both channels. We add collab links connecting the streams together, and the videos that we edit from it. We also do collabs on that. That will. But guys, make sure you go subscribe. We're trying to get him to 1,000 subscribers so he could monetize his channel. It's a
And
guy is a
ideally
very good source
also,
of information.
thank you. And ideally also watch the stream on my channel because I'm trying to get my watch hours up. I'm looking for something very specific that it's
Oh, look.
such a slam dunk. If I can get it. Yeah, but let's keep going through the comments meantime while I look for
Okay.
it.
Let me do.
Okay, got
a
it.
super chat.
Found it. Yeah, but go ahead.
Let's do one super chat and then we'll go to your map.
Okay.
And let's do two super chats and then we'll go to your map. Atki, do you want to read this one? Or I'll read it.
Okay. Somaliland's also against the Minneapolis Learning Center's Magna Cum Laude graduates, and that itself deserves respect. Okay. Do you know Magna Cum Laude? I think Laude is how you pronounce it.
I don't know what, but is this about the whole corruption cases in the U.S. with the Somalis?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Is this real or is this a joke? Like Somaliland is.
I mean, considering it's called Magna Cum Laude.
No, I know that part. No, that part I know is a joke, but I'm just saying, has Somaliland said anything against that?
I haven't heard, but maybe. I mean, it's they're saying, and that itself deserves respect. So,
and it's not, yeah, and Texas is pointing out that it's not learning. It's basically they must pronounce it. I don't know. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. The learning center that they mispronounce the name.
Yeah.
But if that's the case, if they have taken an official position, that's interesting. I didn't know that. So here, one more, and then we'll go to your map.
Yes. Okay.
Read this one.
So, Guide, you live in Israel. You sound American. I saw someone else point this out. I have never stepped foot in America in my life, and neither of my parents is American. I just picked up the accent as a child, but people tell me I sound American, and they're shocked to hear that I've never actually.
You lived all your life in Israel, and you're in Israel right now, right?
Yes.
How do you? Yes. Where did you pick your American accent from?
TV.
Okay.
I mean that's literally it. I'm good with accents. That's probably what it boils down to.
Interesting.
And
okay. Amir, thank you for counting the super chats and doing the confetti that we didn't have real confetti. So Amir did confetti for us. Thank you, Amir.
Okay. All right. So what I want to share now is, I mean, also subscribe to my channel again. All right. This is a very interesting map. Oh, it's a bit too small. Let's see if I can zoom in. Okay. On the left, you see places where in 1918 there was malaria. Yeah, it's on West Coast because most of television is West Coast. This is oh, you can't see my cursor, right?
If you click on that tab that you're sharing, then we will be able to see it.
Okay, there we go.
There you go.
So this is the places where you had large large swaths of malaria, and like, so these were swampy areas, not very much not livable in 1918, or sorry, 1920. Okay, this is a map of Jewish settlements in 1947. Okay, you can, and this is the partition based on those numbers. None of the places that Jews actually lived in were livable before the Jews got there. We occupied land controlled by mosquitoes. That's what actually happened. I mean, okay, you have some, not every, so this part didn't have malaria, fine, but by and large, everywhere that the Jews settled in Palestine, in Mandate Palestine, was teeming with malaria before they arrived, and so we had to drain the swamps and kick out the mosquitoes and settle there. So I'm willing to talk to the mosquitoes about a right of return. But this is a very.
Are you really?
What?
Are you?
I mean,
really?
I'm willing for humanitarian purposes of family reunification and so on.
The mosquitoes.
Not ever. But we'll have to actually vet the mosquitoes. I want to see that they were actually from here. But yeah, so you can see here that everywhere that Jews settled, there was malaria before, and it's so stark. Like, this is an amazing map that I think doesn't get enough play in pro-Israel circles. Oh my God, y'all are mosquito genociders. Yeah, most of those mosquitoes were less than a week old. So, also child killers. Yeah. It must be the blood-sucking Jews. No, so if there were the blood-sucking Jews replaced the blood-sucking non-Jews. The mosquitoes are the blood-sucking Gentiles, and that's why they were not allowed to stay in the Holy Land. Only the blood-sucking Jews were allowed to stay. Yeah, so this is the truth behind Jews stealing lands from Palestinians. Before the Arabs decided to attack the Jews in the area, the only people the Jews were stealing land from were mosquitoes. So I thought that was an interesting map to show. I can post the link to the study. I think it's
basically the summary of it is when Jews came to this area, they did two things. They either bought land from Arabs, which is 5% of the original settlement, and the rest was they went to places where no one was willing to live. They didn't take anyone's land. They went into the areas that nobody was living, and they did a really good job in making places that were unbearable and impossible to live into the best places of Israel. That's what they did. The only time that they started taking land of places that people were already living in without purchasing it was when the Arabs attacked the Jews for both religious and racist reasons, because none of the Arabs were losing any land by force. They just couldn't tolerate having Jews living close to them, even though the Jews that were living close to them were not taking anything. They were not taking any private property by force away from them. They were settling in the places where the Arabs refused to live themselves. But just because they couldn't tolerate having Jews next to them, they attacked the Jews. The Jews defended themselves. They won. The Arabs ran away. and they got the land because the Jews ran away. And even based on international law, you are allowed to occupy and hold land that has been used as aggression against you. Before that act of aggression, the Jews were not taking anything from the Arabs. They were just either buying from the Arabs or they were settling in places that nobody lived.
Yep, that's basically it.
Yeah.
And so it's so funny. There is basically no stealing of land, up to the point where the Arabs attacked the Jews for stealing the land.
Yeah. 6 armies at the same time attack, right?
Yeah, I think so. The Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt. What I think Lebanon was founded. I mean, it wasn't Lebanon technically yet because Lebanon was founded a year later.
You know,
But I
if
think
you're,
there were 6
yeah,
armies. I think, yeah.
it's crazy how Israel managed to defend itself against all of that. I mean, it's just a new baby country, and it's standing against like multiple nations with standing armies, and it manages to defeat all of it. It's like crazy.
Yes, some would say a miracle.
Yeah, somewhat.
Not you, but
Not
some.
me. Yeah.
BT is saying, I feel so uncomfortable knowing neither Guy nor his parents ever set foot in the U.S. No, my parents have been to the U.S. They visited for like a month, but and I think my mom lived in Boston for like a year, but she doesn't have the accent. Like the accent has nothing to do with either of my parents.
You know who? You know, it was divine intervention.
What?
It was Allah giving the Muslims a hard time, so they go back to Allah. So it wasn't.
Yes.
Yes. So it wasn't. It wasn't it wasn't a Jewish miracle. It was. This actually proves that Islam is true, and Allah wanted to make sure that his people come back into His arm by making their life difficult, so they don't get too attached to this world, to the world. That's what was happening. So it was an Islamic miracle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they have their beliefs are the right ones, so it has to be.
Right.
It has to be why. Okay. Moving on. What do you say?
Yep. Go on.
Okay. Shauna said Armenia doesn't have to love Jews. It just has to see Israel as an ally against Russia. That's true, but it also there seems to be a turning of the tide among young. I heard this from Nare. So once she watches this, if I'm saying falsehoods, she can tell me in the private chat in the discussion group. Everyone join the discussion group, by the way. There's a link in blue above my head. Use it to join the discussion group. It's great. It's fantastic. It's the best place ever. You get to talk to smart people like Armin and Ali and Grease Monkey. And highly recommend it. And you might even someday get a YouTube channel with Armin. That's what happened to me.
Yeah. So guys, this is our discussion group. We have group calls every day.
Use the QR code in the chat, the QR code or the link in the chat. Join.
Or the link in the description as well. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, and I meant the description. I said chat. I meant description.
Well, it's also in the chat.
Yes.
It's pinned.
Okay. Jen is saying, so much knowledge in Armin's growing army. I've learned so much from all of you. Thank you all. Thank you for coming, Jen.
No.
Glad you feel informed as a result. Okay. Enjoying Guy's lecture/company. That's very lovely to hear. And so therefore, subscribe to my channel. Okay.
Subscribe to this one as well if you haven't already. Because a lot of people watch without subscribing.
Sorry. I just had a call and it took over my headphones. What did you say?
Nothing. I said, don't subscribe to Guy, subscribe to Liberty Politics.
Okay, let's compromise and everyone subscribe to both.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Neither one of us wins that way, but it's a good compromise.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, never mind. I'm not.
Okay. So Grease Monkey, subscribe to him as well. A lot of demands here. It's also, so this is about the Lebanese polling. It's also 2025 polling now. Now that it's more feasible to oust Hezbollah with IRGC being limited in funding, I bet it's even more anti-Hezbollah sentiment. Oh yeah, if it's 2025,
Yeah.
like a lot has changed since 2025. This is very encouraging. The numbers are probably even better.
Sure.
Okay. Pro-Israel, not many, but they might agree Israel should exist. This is from
I think the Lebanese
this is
people.
from like 35
Yeah.
minutes ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think the Christians are slowly turning pro-Israel in the sense that we're taking care of Hezbollah for them, the bane of their existence. Okay. Shauna is saying, well, there are Catholics that still want to return to the Holy Roman Empire. Universalist religions can be a problem, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the anti-Israel crowd in America, I think, secretly harbors that. Like, no, they shouldn't control it. We should control it. Okay, and then Grease Monkey. That's what Hezbollah does. That's what Hamas does. That's what Houthis do. That's what Hash Avi. El Hashd El Sha'bi. I mean, I don't know if my pronunciation helps, but El Hash, it's like Hashed, which is like a what's the translation? I'm blanking on it. Hashed is like
Popular
gathering.
mobilization. Just call the
Mobilization,
English
yeah.
version. Just call it PMF. Popular
PMF.
Mobilization Front. That's the English version of it.
Poor motherfuckers.
Oh
PMF.
wow.
Okay, and we have a new member, Dwayne 2121. Thank you for becoming a member.
Welcome to our group. Guy, you're gonna have your members soon as you monetize. So there we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
So that was good. We learned a lot. Thank you so much, Guy. That was very educational. Guys, make sure you let in the comments you appreciate Guy, because I think Guy is a really good addition to our army. I think he's very objective, and I think he has a lot of information that I think he's actually the best source of all things Israel related that I've ever met. Because when it comes to people with opinions about Israel, it's not just that everybody has their opinions and they're biased about it. That's okay. I mean, you should be biased for in favor of your own views. But I think Guy has this rare ability of being able to see and understand and steelman other people's perspective, which is makes it yeah, I get that. Which makes it very valuable for us. So with one person, we get to see all different perspectives from Israel. And that's a really rare ability for people to do that. Usually people are incapable of steelmanning opinions. Honesty, steelmanning opinions that they disagree with. And when you see somebody, it takes a lot of intelligence for somebody to be able to do that effectively. Like people, when other people, when you ask them to steelman their opposition, they start making fun of it. They can't do it. And also they emotionally feel so disgusted that they're doing that they might do it for 5 seconds and then all of a sudden they stop. It takes a lot of emotional maturity and intelligence to be able to very effectively steelman your opposition. In fact, one great practice is to see if you could steelman your opposition better than they would be able to do. Like if you could,
I really try to do that a lot. Like that's one of my favorite exercises for myself to practice this. Gandalf, yeah. So Gandalf is in Iran, and we're very happy to have him back with internet. And so the guy can present politics from point of view of many, keeping his personal bias to himself. I appreciate it. So I don't keep it to myself. If I kept it to myself, that would actually be worse, because then it's like I'm presenting something that is seemingly objective, but it's actually not. I do say what my opinion is. I just try to present as much as possible the whole game.
But I think what Gandalf is like, you say what your opinion is, but when you are steelmanning the other side at that moment,
Yes, I do
at
my
that
best.
moment you manage to keep your opinion out of it, like when you do that. Yeah. See,
Right.
like
Okay.
this, you per se. Yeah.
Yeah, a
All
lot
right,
of
we should
people
go.
are. Yeah.
IP.
Well, one final comment I actually just thought about. So even notice that even the deranged rabbi you were talking about said that you would do this willingly, right? You said
Yes.
you would be happy like you would choose to serve Jews and you would be happy to do it. So like
Mm.
even the extreme positions of Jews, even like the ones that want the greater Israel, which are a tiny minority, they're saying, and the Arabs, once they recognize that we're God's chosen people, they would actually give it to us willingly. So
Okay, so you're
the
saying
majority,
even
yeah,
even the retarded ones are not interested in forcing people against their wills. Even
yes,
the crazy ones among religious nut jobs among Israel, they're still better than the Muslim nut jobs because they're not interested in forcing anybody against their will.
yes, or in expanding beyond what you would willingly
Yes.
give us.
So yeah, it looks a lot like, yeah. Never mind. I'm not gonna say that. It reminds me of
Right.
BDSM where people are consenting to be enslaved or stuff like that. It's
Yes.
very
So
BDSM.
there's
Okay. Yes.
it's a spiritual BDSM.
Spiritual
That's
BDSM.
probably a
Let's call it
great
that.
way of putting it. Yeah, I'm sure
Yes.
no one's
Let's
going to
end the
object to that.
stream. Let's end the stream by calling Judaism spiritual BDSM. How about that? Okay.
Sure.
Okay. All right, guys. That was us. So make sure you subscribe to all our channels. And we'll see you soon when we go to our group discussion. Guys, by the way, today's group discussion, which I'm going to put the link in the chat, is open. That means it's free to everybody. So come there. We will be live streaming it on Liberty Politics. So either come in there and speak to us on our group call, or just watch it on Liberty Politics, where I will be live streaming the discussion pretty soon. So it's going to be happening in a few hours. Wait, let me see. In about 2 hours. So we'll see you there. Okay. Yes. All right, guys. Until then, Guy, would you be there today?
I hope so. I have to see some of my schedule stuff. I hope to make it at least to some of it.
All right. Until then, I'm Israel Chai, Slava Ukraine, Cuba Libre, Long Live America, Javicha, Payande, Iran. Mwah. See you guys soon.
Bye, everyone.